Hello and welcome to the award-winning The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall, sitting in today for Dr. Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. We continue our post-Melissa series with, in the first watch today, understanding the importance of the church in post-hurricane recovery. And in second watch, investigating the psychological impact today and tomorrow. For our social media question, we ask, what role is your church playing post-Hurricane Melissa to help those affected? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125. Using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your response later on in the program, but first, here's our quote. Jukal?
Requires the responsibility of self-defense. And this one is from Joshua Jenkins.
Well, it's an interesting I quote. Good morning, Jukal.
Good morning.
Well, thank you for that I quote, sir. The first watch will be back after this break.
Eternal Father.
Right now, our brothers and sisters in Western Jamaica are hurting. Homes have been destroyed. Families are struggling to start again after Hurricane Melissa.
Love 101 FM, the family station, is calling on you to join hearts and hands in love in action.
You can make a difference today by donating cash or kind to help rebuild lives.
We're collecting non-perishable food items,
Bottled water,
baby supplies,
hygiene products,
toiletries,
cleaning supplies.
bedding, tarpaulins, and small household items.
Drop off your donations of cash and kind at Love 101 FM or participating partner churches island-wide.
Every can, every package, every dollar helps bring hope to the hurting. Together, we are Love in Action. Love 101 FM,
The family station.
On the next episode of the Mailbox, we'll be talking about soft skills as a man, part 2. Soft skills are essential for personal and professional growth, and they're not limited to any particular gender. Some valuable soft skills that men can develop include communication, emotional intelligence, active listening, and conflict resolution. You are invited to continue the conversation with our guest, Dr. Howard Harvey, Career Development Officer at Heart NSTA Leap Center, as he shares about his miraculous journey from street boy to psychosocial practitioner. That's Wednesday, November 5 at 5:30 p.m. only on the family station. Love 101, the Mailbox, Monday.
We go preach the word, preach it up like a storm. Anointed from him born, which part all the man of God. God, when you hear the trumpet.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, and after the recent hurricane Melissa, the question is, who helps to rebuild not just homes, but hearts. Now, historically, the church is seen as a symbol to mobilize communities and even sometimes work alongside or partner with government agencies in relief efforts. Some churches and church facilities are used in terms of emergency shelters, food distribution points, even communication hubs. There is a matter of spiritual and emotional support. And where there is trauma, people often look to the church for some level of comfort and even meaning. And pastoral care can become very important at this time. Persons need counseling. They need to process grief, loss of home, loss of vehicles, loss of pets, loss of their businesses, whether it's a farm business or, any kind of business that was housed in a particular location, which is now affected by debris, might have even been washed away depending on the situation or the circumstances. Churches have hosted prayer meetings, services, worship gatherings, and maybe even trauma recovery workshops, encouraging faith that God hasn't abandoned them and looking for the restoration of hope, rebuilding community spirit. The question some are asking, or some may be asking, is the church doing all that it can in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa? Yes, I've already heard some of the complaints. The church isn't doing enough post-Melissa. The church is not doing what it ought to be doing. The concern, however, is many churches are themselves affected. Many churches have lost property, buildings, manses where pastors live in terms of accommodation. Many churches are associated with schools, or they actually started schools, or they own the property on which schools are situated, and the schools have been badly damaged. We have as our guest so far to have a conversation about this Bishop Carlton Russell. He's the president of the Association of Full Gospel Churches in Jamaica. Bishop Carlton Russell, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
We are to be joined, I think we're to be joined shortly by another minister of religion, but until, sir, the church is a rallying point for unity and cooperation. And I'm speaking across denominations, not just amongst a particular denomination. How can that be of assistance now in a time like this where there is the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa?
From the very outset, church has played an important and significant part in the lives of people and their communities. In fact, church, with its building located in the communities, play a very special role in terms of taking care of people's funeral, addressing weddings, and doing all of those things. As it relates to what is happening now with the problem with that Hurricane Melissa has left behind a trail of disaster and sadness. Right now, the church is gathering all the necessary information and feedback in order to give a fulsome response to what is happening. Among them, the relief aids that is supposed to be distributed across the board. The church is playing a very important part in that. In fact, if I could take Tales Out of School, there is a national coordination program which the churches will be involved in that. It has not been fully functional yet. It's just getting off. And so among the things that the church is looking at, the relief items. In fact, we are not waiting on the national coordination program, but churches have gone out into the communities to give aids like distribution of water and other food items, risking their lives, going through various passages that even some are not yet cleared. but I've been doing that kind of work. So as it relates to the first question you posed to me, the church is fully involved in this, fully at heart, because the church is here to help communities, to help people, to deliver people, and to bring hope.
Thank you for that. Some of the issues that persons may hope that persons like yourself will be mobilized to help with include not just clean up, but other things such as rebuilding homes or building new homes to replace those that maybe are beyond repair. And then there's a matter of assisting persons such as the elderly, small children, and even those who are ill, persons who need medication, and the medication that they had from last week is finished and they are not able to replenish the medication because of issues with transportation, etc. Bishop, can you assist with these issues?
Well, yes. Let me just state that some of us, the churches, are totally destroyed in some of the community, meaning the buildings, because the church relates to the people, right? The buildings are destroyed, so the people are left there without anything. So we are the ones going in, and we are the ones getting the first feedback as to what are the things happening. Remember, in some communities out there, the pastors are distraught. They have also lost their assets and other things out there. So those of us who are going in as church is going in to help all of those things, because we would have been familiarized with those who are needing medication, those who are on medication. And so we are able now to come back from that community, for example, like what is happening in St. Elizabeth, get to areas where there are pharmacies and other places that provide those type of items, and in turn respond to them. So some serious work is going on that has not been mentioned on air, and it's not only family members that are doing it, but churches are pulling from their resource and feeding into that aspect of our people's lives. So some serious things are going on to help to save people, and in that regard I speak this morning.
We're almost upon the break already, but before we head to the break, any thoughts on the whole matter of community values? Compassion, gratitude, service. Bishop?
Yes. Well, we are exhibiting the level of compassion, just as relates to the Bible, in which the man who was by the wayside, he was beaten up, and Jesus gave the example that two persons passed by, but the good Samaritan went in and helped. We are exhibiting that level of compassion. You have situations that ministers are literally in tears to see some of the ravages, some of the things that are happening to people out there. It's a serious. We have never had this before.
Bishop, Bishop, I don't really want to stop in midstream of in terms of what you're saying, but we're upon the break now. Can you hold that thought for a second, sir? Listeners, viewers, please stay with us. We will be right back for the Morning Watch.
Something big is coming this Christmas. 2 cities, 2 days.
One unforgettable experience.
Mark your calendars. Saturday, December 13th and Saturday, December 20th, 2025. The magic of the season is about to hit Jamaica like never before.
Where will it be? Who will be there? Stay tuned,
because season splendor is coming and you don't want to miss it.
Season Splendor, the countdown begins.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on Habashco. Get it on Habashco. 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 Be everything where you need. Bash quality service guaranteed and Habashco. Get it on Habashco. That gives you more. Yeah, Habashco. Get furniture for your house and everything for your kitchen, rugs, and more at Habashco. The store that gives you more. Habashco.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch and we're having a conversation in terms of the topic, post-Melissa, understanding the importance of the church in post-hurricane recovery. We have Bishop Carlton Russell having a discussion with him, very important conversation with him on the matter. He's the president of the Association of Full Gospel Churches. I gather we are now being joined by Pastor Christopher Kennedy. Am I correct? Pastor Christopher Kennedy, I think he's on the telephone.
You are Stokeley. I'm right here. Morning to you and your listeners. Morning to your guests.
Pastor Kennedy, thank you for joining us, sir. I know that your church is in the St. Elizabeth area, sir, and to my knowledge, it's not only your church, but your residence is also in St. Elizabeth. Am I correct, sir? Pastor Kennedy? And whilst we try to have the audio issues resolved, Pastor Kennedy is pastor of the Joyland and Abrams Mennonite churches. Whilst we wait to see if the audio can be checked and any issues there resolved, Bishop Russell, would you like to complete your thought? You were saying something just before the break, sir.
You
question.
Yeah, you had asked me to
service. Yes, go ahead.
You had asked me to speak on the whole business of compassion.
Yes.
We don't only, as a church, don't speak to only people's eating habits or people's situation external, but we speak to the hearts of people. That is where we try to reach. As I was indicating to you, that the man who was beaten up on the way, as was related in the scriptures, it was the Good Samaritan that Jesus presented as a person who gave the care that was needed. He looked beyond the issues of just seeing the person existing. He went in, took the person up, brought the person to a place of help, and was able to restore the person. That's our compassion speaks of person with a heart of understanding. Or you want to reach out and help people to bring back hope, those who are in despair, those who feel like everything is lost. That's where the church comes in and create what is called deliverance, helping people out of their plights. The church has helped many people out of situations that are so serious that their testimonies will bring tears to your eyes. They were at the point of giving up, of taking their lives, and just what the love of Jesus in reaching out and speaking to their heart. That's what we are doing in this period of time, helping people. It's not fully implemented yet, but those things will be implemented because there's a lot of trauma. Persons are hurting deeply. There are mental situations that will be coming up on the horizon, and the church needs to be prepared to help as it relates to that. So we have compassion, we have interest, and we have a heart to help to deliver our people. When Jamaica is delivered, the church will abound and will become stronger, and there will be a greater sense of understanding of our message of Christ, because Christ brings us hope. And that is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Bishop Russell. Thank you so much. Pastor Kennedy, sir.
Yes, I'm here. I hope you're hearing me clearly.
We realize that your signal is a little bit poor, but we are trying our best to work with the situation. We know that your home and your church both in St. Elizabeth.
That's correct. That's
your
correct.
home and your church were affected by Hurricane Melissa?
More so the church, home, just on the outskirts, not the building itself. But the churches have been devastated. And as a matter of fact, the level of damage now requires that the association address it, because we can't deal with that at the local level. So that's how bad it has been. And the community has been extremely ravaged. I would say maybe 90% of the people with, say, zinc roofing, it's gone. I would maybe 3/4 of those in a state where it is going to cost a considerable amount for them to put things back together, which might extend into weeks and in some cases possibly months. And as we've seen in some past hurricanes, some dwellings have not been restored at all. People just abandon them because of the sheer cost of putting them back to what they were originally. So that's the situation we're having here. And we are not where I live. I'm not too far from Black River, and everybody knows what happened in Black River. Really, really bad. And so we're really struggling. But it's good when we have association connection. Are you hearing me? Hello?
We are hearing you. We're hearing you.
Yes.
We are hearing you.
It's good when a church is not just composed of individuals who get up and say, I hear from the Lord, and I'm called by God, and I just go out there and start something on my own. It's good when we are part of community, a part of history, part of the transition of the preaching of the gospel from one generation to the next, from one community to the next. And we are Mennonites, of course, so we're a part of that. And so at the national level and the international level, we know that there are deep, deep concerns, and discussions are in high gear to assist in whatever way we can be assisted. Because had we just been like a little congregation out there, which is what we're seeing too often in many cases, there's no way we could have recouped from this anytime soon. But we have hope that we can address the situation, and not just from the church level, but in terms of the community. We have strong hope, and we'll be soliciting on behalf of the people in the community. What we can do? We want children to be able to go back to school. We want people to be able to be able to deliver and to help their loved ones. It makes no sense if you're doing well, you can eat, you have electricity, if you have all these amenities, and then your loved ones are suffering. People, you're still in a state of shock. You're still in a state of sadness and stress if those around you are suffering. And so that's what we look forward to. And that's what happens when you have this link, of the body of believers from one nationality to the other. And it kind of reminds us of the situation in the book of Acts. I keep challenging people that, until we can find a way to get back to that early situation that we were being trained, we call the community of good. And we talked about it in terms of primitive Christianity, where there was hardly any need, because those who who were blessed, those who were wealthy, Barnabas would sell land. That's what we need to get back to. Who does that anymore? Who sells land that would be, would cost millions and millions of dollars and gives to the church? Who does that? But that is how the church was established originally. And as a matter of fact, even prior to that, Jesus, we recognize that there were some disciples, some followers. They were the ones who took care of him. They were the ones who took care of his needs. Jesus himself said, foxes have holes, birds of the air have nests. The Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Right? So it was not out of his own resources. It was because he had this community that was behind him. And the church needs to get back to that stage, the understanding where we're a part of a community and we support the community that we're a part of. So that community was a wonderful idea. I understand Even Karl Marx had to say something about that. The stability that early Christianity had. And we welcome the opportunity to be relevant in this situation as a church.
Well, I won't say much about Karl Marx. We know that he was definitely not a Christian. He would not have been one of the figures in the book of Acts at all. Not at all. Not at all.
I have the same sentiments, but even the devil, even the worst of us can have some virtues. You know?
Not at all. But generally speaking, though, before we bring Bishop Russell back into the discourse here, what is the general sense or mood amongst persons in the Black River area now, the St. Elizabeth environments where you are at? And we're happy that your home is relatively well intact from how you sound. It doesn't sound as if the damage was as bad as other persons with zinc roofs. But just generally speaking, what is it like now in the town? I heard at one point in time that Black River was sort of a ghost town, save and except for the persons at the hospital and security for personnel in and around the area. What is it like now today? Can you say that?
Oh, that's me? That's me?
Yes, Pastor Kennedy. Yes, sir. Are you able to comment on that now?
Okay. Well, I haven't been to Black River, to be honest, but I can tell you, from where I stand, where there's hardly any trees, so you can look directly into the town, and you can see between La Cobia and Santa Cruz, and consistently, whether from the air or on land, whether it is the ambulance or the police or the fire department, consistent traffic, and that only tells me that the need there is dire, absolutely
dire.
Yes.
Dire need. Okay, Pastor Kennedy. I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
It has really been devastated and ravaged, and they have to be trucking food in, a lot of food going in, to the point where, it sounds almost like a situation that we've been hearing about for the last 2 years with Gaza, where people are tumbling over each other, to get food. I've even heard of cases where people are demanding more than they're entitled to. And I don't know if you've heard, there are a couple of instances where a certain amount of theft has been taking place and people have been held up and intimidated. The passed on some of the things that they're taking,
Yes.
So that is how bad it is. And for the hospitalists,
Like an every man for himself situation.
Like an every man for himself situation. Yeah. So you always have those people who come in and exploit the situation.
Yeah.
Even in Santa Cruz, somebody was telling me that 2 nights, the night after the storm, people were just walking around and holding people up. One young man told me that a case of a neighbor telling him that he was held up at gunpoint by a female. And now that shocked me, because normally we don't hear that sort of thing.
Understand.
But once it gets dark, people begin to, and some of the people come from, they're from all over. They come from all over.
Yeah, so the security situation is very serious. Very serious.
Because they know that at this time, the security forces have been very, very occupied and very busy, and would not be able to respond as quickly as they would, under normal circumstances.
Pastor Kennedy, only because of time. Pastor Kennedy, only because of time, and Bishop Russell, only because of time. We have to leave it there today. But I want to thank the gentlemen for being with us in this first watch. Very important conversation, Bishop Russell. You have essentially told us what the church's mission is at this time, and we pray that all will go well in that regard. Pastor Kennedy, thank you for sharing with us on a personal level and in terms of your church and group of churches, what is being done in terms of the damage to where you are at, sir. We are grateful for your contribution.
Always a pleasure, Stokeley. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Viewers and listeners, please stay with us. We will be right back on the Morning Watch.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
We know you're making every dollar work harder, choosing carefully, buying what you need, and making it stretch as far as you can. That's why Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets. It's our way of helping you sweeten moments together, share more meals, and take care of the people you love. Make a good move with 20% savings from Grace.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the par, travel far, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here, first of all, in the Gleaner, quite a number of stories. Among the lead stories, we have Melissa, Hurricane Melissa, obviously. Melissa leaves Big Bill behind. Melissa leaves Big Bill behind. And there are the comments there of an economist, Mr. Keenan Faulkner. And there is another headline here: God is good and we still have life. God is good and we still have life. An open cellar beneath the ruins of her house is where Juliet Clark now lives with her 3-year-old granddaughter and a mentally disabled man she cares for, but that has not shaken her faith. Wow. Quite a story there. We have another one. Patterson urges Jamaicans to rebuild with resilience for the future. There's another one here. Tertiary schools back in session after Melissa. And I think when you read the story, you're really seeing reference to the University of the West Indies. Mona, I am aware of at least one other tertiary, or I'm aware of at least one other tertiary institution which is not yet opened. And more anon on that. We now turn to the Observer. On the front page here, among the leading stories here, staggering. That is the headline, staggering with an exclamation mark. Hurricane Melissa's preliminary damage put to 1 trillion. 1 trillion. And there's another story here referred to on the front page of the Daily Observer. St. Elizabeth residents worried by groundwater swell. Groundwater swell. That is a very serious matter. And it is something which has been known to happen or to occur in relation to heavy rainfall. And we pray that persons will be assisted in that regard if and when it does occur. Coming up next, we'll share with you some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, what role is your church playing post Hurricane Melissa to help those affected? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 1FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-9973-125. Using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
The National National Land Agency assists landowners to register their land under the Systematic Land Registration Program. Systematic Land Registration is the orderly and methodical way of registering land within a designated project area. For more info on whether your community is covered under the Systematic Land Registration Program, visit nla.gov.jm for a list of all the declared project areas or call 876-750-5263. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal. To serve you better.
We are by your side, looking after life. We've been here for 25 years and we are Guardian Life. Just getting started, leading the way every day, protecting you and yours at every stage. Guardian Life. Looking after life, caring for family, caring for you. Looking after life is what we do. For every generation, for every stage, your partner for 25 years. Guardian Life. Looking after life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We now for your responses to our social media question, what role is your church playing post-Hurricane Melissa to help those affected? Jacob.
All right. So we have a response here from Edna in Montego Bay. Edna, let me hear from you.
Good morning, watch. Good morning, love 101 listeners and stuff. Yes, my church is doing their part to help those that affected by Hurricane Melissa. We're collecting non-perishable items and stuff like that to help out now, and we are doing it. And each church is doing their part, but we are under the body of East Jamaica Conference for Seventh-day Adventist Church. So we are doing our best, and we do through the individual churches and the conference and all. Yes, we're doing our best to help out whatever we can.
That's right. Thank you so much, Edna. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you. And of course, I think you mentioned that Edna is from Montego Bay. So that's the capital of St. James. And we know that St. James did really receive some level of, how should I put it? They had a pretty bad experience with Melissa as well. And hoping that you are okay, Edna, hoping that you're fine. So we move right into the second watch. Now, the winds have passed, but for many persons, the storm or the hurricane isn't over, mentally speaking. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, many Jamaicans are still grappling with not only the loss of property, but the loss of peace, stability, and hope. Their lives have just simply been turned upside down. How do survivors cope with the emotional trauma, the aftermath? I'm not sure which words would really accurately describe what many persons are experiencing at the moment. We have as our guest psychologist, Mr. Kevin Bailey of Family Life Ministries, and of course, for those who listen to the Morning Watch and those who they would have heard Kevin Bailey before as a guest on this particular program. But of course, Mr. Bailey, he hosts a program as well on Love 101 FM, Wednesday afternoons. Mr. Bailey, yourself and Pastor Courtney Morrison, the Mailbox, a very popular show. We want to thank you for being with us this morning, albeit in a different capacity as a psychologist. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir Marshall. It's good to be here with you on your show. And I want to say at the outset, my condolences and prayers are with Jamaicans here and overseas as well, who are suffering as a result of the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa. It's so good to have this conversation. And so I'm very honored and pleased to be with you, sir.
Well, maybe what we will ask you to do firstly in terms of the recent Hurricane Melissa, it might sound like a ridiculous question, but what will people, generally speaking, experience in the first couple of days? And we are probably still in those first couple of days. What will people experience in the first couple of days after such a major disaster? Not just a disaster in terms of the hurricane, the physical effects of the hurricane itself, the weather event, but the loss of property, loss of life sometimes, injury to self, injury to others around them. They might feel helpless. What will people be experiencing in the first couple of days?
Right. No, that's a great question. So there are so many difficult and painful emotions that arise because, first of all, it's a traumatic event. It's distressing, it's disturbing, it's shocking, it's frightening, it's unexpected. Persons were not prepared for this. And so many persons are traumatized at this moment. Many persons are also grieving the loss of their relatives, their friends, their colleagues, but also grieving safety. They do not feel safe. There's terror, terrifying thoughts and feelings. And then this is a major stressor. So you are combining and this is distressing because, you know, you have good stress, which is eustress, which allows your adrenaline and you can function. But when your body feels overwhelmed, as if you cannot cope, you feel helpless and hopeless, and it's like the end of the world. So you think of all of those feelings and persons are in a bad shape. Of course, persons manage differently depending on their personality, their own experiences, and their gender as well. But all in all, it is just a difficult time for Jamaicans and others who are close to us as well.
And the whole matter of emotional trauma. And then there's the urgency in terms of the need to survive. And I'll even maybe give an example as best I can. For instance, we just had Pastor Christopher Kennedy on in the first watch. And it was a different topic that we were talking about. It was in terms of the role of the church in all of this. But Pastor Kennedy himself has suffered in terms of his own church being negatively impacted. But be that as it may, what I really want to mention is that he was indicating or telling us about persons who have been held up at gunpoint in the parish of St. Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
So you have been traumatized by loss of property. Maybe you have no roof over your head. And now you have to be worrying about your own security. Mr. Bailey?
Yes, no, it makes it more difficult because when you experience one event, we normally say that that's an acute trauma. It's acute, it's one event, it's distressing, it's intense, like disaster. No persons are experiencing another frightening event, being robbed and being terrified. And if not careful, it can become chronic. So you can go into chronic trauma because this is a repeated event. It makes it more complex. And we, you know, Mr. Marshall, I think of this serenity prayer, part of it, that says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because
hold that thought for a second, Mr. Bailey, because I see where we are already upon the break. You just said the serenity prayer. Hold that thought, sir. Viewers and listeners, please stay with us on the Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Grace is giving shoppers discounts on over 20 of your favorite Grace products when you cash out at participating supermarkets.
The time that Grace could move is
7:45 a.m.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch, and we're having a very important discussion with Mr. Kevin Bailey, psychologist, Family Life Ministries. He's also co-host of the Mailbox right here on Love 101 FM. Now, the topic is Post Melissa, investigating the psychological impact today and tomorrow. Just before the break, Mr. Bailey, you had recited the Serenity Prayer, and that was in response to a question I had asked in terms of emotional trauma versus the urgency of survival. And this has a lot to do with the fact that it was related to us by a guest in the first watch today that some persons have indicated or told us, or have said rather, that there are robberies at gunpoint in St. Elizabeth. This is after the trauma of Hurricane Melissa. Continue, Mr. Bailey.
Yeah, so we say instead of just dealing with acute trauma, which is a single event that's distressing and disturbing, they're now experiencing another traumatic event of being held at gunpoint, and so they might go into what is called chronic trauma. I put the Serenity Prayer because how do we process all of these difficult emotions, the fear, the anxiety, the shame, the guilt, the hopelessness, the helplessness, the numbness? And I have to say to our listeners, your feelings are your own. You are the authority on your feelings. Nobody can tell you how to feel. So you feel what you feel, and it's okay to feel. And we're going to talk a little bit about processing that. But the Serenity Prayer says, God grant me the serenity, this peaceful, calm place to accept the things I cannot change, because there are some things in life we have no control over. No matter how powerful we are, no matter how wealthy or rich we are, or nationality, we can't stop certain things. Melissa is one of them. If we could have stopped it, we would have. However, we must now tap into the courage to change the things we can, and of course, the wisdom to know the difference. What are some of the things that we can do? At the beginning, we have to have what we call self-awareness. What is happening inside of us? Because a trauma is turning our inside out like a turmoil. Unlike just grief, that you mourn the loss and you can go through the process, the trauma is within you. And it's difficult for you to get rid of it. You know, emotionally, there's the fear, the anxiety, all of those things. Physically, it affects your sleep. So there might be sleep deprivation, fatigue, headaches, body aches. Persons now want to isolate themselves, sometimes withdraw from connections. Cognitively, persons may have trouble concentrating. Then there might be flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, because this is trauma. It's just like persons who experience war-like conditions or persons in concentration camps. We have faced, and I'm saying we, because those who are in the areas badly impacted, they get first-hand experience. They are traumatized. However, the rest of Jamaica and the world, we have what is called vicarious trauma or secondary trauma, where we are reliving as if we were there. So we would still have some of those symptoms, and we have to be able to deal with them as well. So it's a difficult time. However, we must be able to do a check-in, ask ourselves, how am I feeling today? How am I coping today? What is happening to me on the inside? Because if I'm able to bring my body to the center, because the nervous system is all over the place, we have to have a calming, a centered place so that we can make some right decisions, some choices, get the help we need, reach out to others, etc.
Mr. Bailey, how is there a difference between how females as opposed to males, children as opposed to the elderly, whether elderly male or elderly female? Are there differences between how persons experience trauma based on the criteria or the indicia I just mentioned.
Definitely. So at the basic level, even personality types, persons who are choleric, very determined, these are the visionaries. These are persons that have lots of energy. They tend to react or respond in a way that they look at solutions immediately. They are the ones that they're solution oriented and goal oriented. Other persons like phlegmatic, they might procrastinate. They're on the sideline. They're watching what is going to happen. Then melancholy, they tend to get into depression because they're prone for depression already. They may go into clinical depression, withdrawal, and all of that. The sanguine is amazing, but the sanguine sees the positive in everything, sees joke, sees humor. So he may come up with songs and come up with some stuff to say, but he's using humor to deal with the trauma. So we grieve differently. We can respond differently to trauma based on our personality, but also
can you repeat those? Can you repeat those personality types? The last one you said was sanguine or sanguine.
Sanguine, SANGU.
All four of them. Let's name all four of them again.
Right. So we have choleric.
Okay.
We have phlegmatic.
Okay.
We have melancholy, and we have sanguine.
Okay, so depending on which category you might fall in, generally speaking, I suppose you could have overlap, but depending on which one is dominant,
yes,
persons will respond differently. So it can explain why different sets of persons appear to, even within the same family,
yes,
appear to have different reactions to what has happened post Melissa.
That is so important, Sir Marshall, because we tend to judge each other. And it creates more problem instead of being compassionate, being patient and kind, recognizing that we're different. And then you go now to children. Children, they haven't developed cognitively in a way to process and think through information to say what really is happening. As adults, we're further along the continuum. We have experienced some things. The elderly, for instance, they have been through 51 storm, or they have been through different storms. They can tell you stories of resilience. They can tell you when they were locked off and cut off. In fact, if you go way back, to when we were slaves and we were treated as non-humans and during the Middle Passage and colonialism, we have developed a spirit of resilience. And so persons can share with you. The elderly can tell the stories. They can share how they survived. The children know with their playfulness, they want to play in the water, in the mud, and they want to connect with their friends and talk to them on the phone, etc. And so we recognize the grieving process for them may be very intense. And teenagers, we can ask them, what can they do? Because they have certain agency and they want to prove themselves that they can think, they can feel, they can choose. And so we're relating to different groups in a particular way. The children, we are now having a teachable moment. Show them that the world can be unsafe, yes. However, we have 100% control over our responses. We can choose how we respond to it so that we can become bitter or better. We have to choose now. When we're angry, we are not denying, I feel angry. How could they be robbing persons who are in this state? I am very angry when I hear that, and I have a right to be angry. But there are persons, they feel sad because they have lost so much, and they're wondering, can they rebuild this? And there are other persons who are terrified. Is there going to be another one? So all kind of thoughts are happening. And can we acknowledge that we're different and be patient and kind to each other so that together, all hands on deck, we can rebuild our lives, our country. And it actually can get better because a crisis gives us not just the danger component, but opportunities. Opportunities for us to be more loving, to be more Christ-like, to be our brother's keeper, to recognize we're all in the same boat, whether rich or poor, educated or uneducated, Christian, non-Christian. All of us, we can find a common goal to keep ourselves safe?
You know, you touched on it slightly, but I'll raise it as a separate question. How can persons prepare themselves mentally and spiritually for a possible future disaster? Because there could be something else coming up in the future. It could be another hurricane, it could be an earthquake. Whatever it is, whatever. How can persons prepare themselves mentally, spiritually from now?
Yes.
For what could happen then?
Sure, that's a great question. So while we're going through things now, we can do some simple things to find our calm place or a center or to be present, because this situation has the ability for us to feel detached from our own bodies, our own way of thinking, feeling, choosing, and also detached from others. So I think a simple thing like deep breathing in through your nostrils, slowly through your mouth, and you do it 3 or 4 times, it helps the nervous system to come to a calm place. There is a sensory technique that we call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that we can help our children or young people, adults, to find their center, where you look for 5 things that you can see and you name the 5 things that are in your surrounding. Then you go.
Some persons might say, Mr. Bailey is teaching us yoga. Do you have any reaction to that?
No, sure. This is not yoga. This is just being aware of your senses. We all have senses. So what you can see is with your eyes. The Bible talks about be careful what you focus on, because you become what you focus on. But just to make sure that you know that you are alive and that you are.
So what the deep breathing does, as you have described, it helps to what? Calm down what exactly?
Your nervous system.
Your nervous system, I see.
Yeah, because the nervous system is all over the place.
And when the nervous system is not calm, what happens when it's not calm?
You can get sick physically.
Oh, you can get physically ill.
Physically ill. Headaches, body aches. And if you go to the doctor, you do a checkup, and they said, it's psychosomatic. That means it's as a result of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're choosing.
We're literally running out of time. Do you have any additional steps or tips you can share with us going forward if there were to be a future disaster? To prepare for it?
Seek support. If you are overwhelmed, you may seek counseling. Talk to someone. A problem shared is a problem halved. Whenever you are depressed, try and help somebody. It's amazing. When you reach out to someone, it reduces depressive symptoms. We're a community. And remember, we're resilient and it will pass. No storm ever stays. Just like how you're not always happy.
It must pass.
It must pass. And just say to yourself, I am safe now. I am getting better at this. So be careful with what you're telling yourself, your internal dialogue. Whatsoever you're thinking, focus on some good things and the vision of yourself rebuilding, having community, having support. There is a way, but you have to choose to start replacing those negative thoughts with more adaptive, positive. The scripture says whatsoever things are pure, lovely, think on those things.
Only because of time, we have to leave it there today. Mr. Bailey, I want to thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts. Very important. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for having me.
And viewers and listeners, thank you for being with us today. And just to add this as well, to support the relief effort, visit the supportjamaica.gov.jm portal. Supportjamaica.gov.jm portal for a string of options available where you can donate supplies, volunteer your time, or even your manpower. And in terms of this program today, thank you for being with us. Viewers and listeners, join us again tomorrow. Visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. Download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I hand you back now to Mr. Jukal Dyer. I am Stokeley Marshall. Have a good day.
Experience the art of living insurance with Jay and Life. The time is
8 o'clock, and you are now invited to listen to Forward in Faith, and that is brought to you by the New Testament Church of God in Bayside, Portmore.